Hey, well, it's great to meet with you again, even if it is still via a screen. I hope you've had a good week. What's been the best thing that you've done this last week? Thank you for sending me some of your silly people drawings from last week. They were very good, and it is always good to hear from you, to hear what you've been up to and what you've been getting out of these sessions. We're going to play What's in the Sock now. So you each need to find a sock and then go and find an object small enough to hide in your sock. When you're all ready, pass the socks round each other and see if you can guess what's hidden in each of the socks. Did you manage to guess them all? Were there any that were really just too hard? Well, we've got a fun song for you this week. It's called Touch a Finger. You're going to need to be up on your feet and then do each action as the song goes through. You need a partner, or if there's three of you, you can do it in a three, but you need to, when it says touch your finger, you touch your finger to your partner's finger. There is a COVID warning on this one. You can only do this with people in your family or bubble.
Hey, this song is a lot of fun. It's about being special to God, whatever shape or size you are. You'll need a partner, and it starts with you touching your finger to your partner's finger, then your thumb to their thumb. But hey, it's a whole lot worse than that. Oh, touch your finger, touch your thumb, touch your wrist, touch an elbow, touch your shoulder, touch your head. Every bit of you is special. Try that again. Oh, touch your finger, touch your thumb, touch your wrist, touch an elbow, touch your shoulder, touch an ear. Every bit of you is special. Oh, if you're short and fat, or tall and thin, got no knees, or 15 chins, doesn't matter just what shape you're in. God loves you as you are. Here we go again. Oh, touch your finger, touch your thumb, touch your wrist, touch an elbow, touch your shoulder, touch an eyebrow. Every bit of you is special. Now it gets worse. Here we go. Oh, touch your toe, touch an ankle, touch your knee, touch your hip, touch your back, bump your bottom, touch your nose. I'll wait for it. Touch your lips. No, I was only joking. Get up.
Did you enjoy that? I bet you had some laughs doing that one. We're going to watch another Punchinello story now called Your Special Gift. So let's find out what Punchinello and the other Wemmicks get up to in this story.
Your Special Gift. Written by Max Lucado and illustrated by David Wenzel. Published by Crossway. Punchinello stepped out of his little house, looked at the bright orange sunrise, listened to the singing birds, and smiled. "What a great day, Eli," he shouted to his maker. Eli looked up and waved. His house sat on the highest hill, but not so high that he couldn't hear and see the wooden people he had made, the Wemmicks. "Consider it a gift, my friend," he replied, and entered his workshop. Punchinello noticed a bright red package in his mailbox. "My, what is this? Someone brought me a present." He unwrapped it. "A hammer. I love hammers. But who gave it to me?" He looked up and down his street but saw no one. Not far away, in another small house, Lucia, Punchinello's friend, was asking the same question. "Who gave me such a nice gift?" she wondered as she lifted the lid off the box she found outside her front door. "A paintbrush and a palette of paint. I love to paint, but who knew?" Splint and Woody lived down the road from Lucia. They found their gifts at the foot of their beds. "Wow, thanks, Woody," Splint exclaimed. "I didn't give it to you," Woody replied. "Did you give this to me?" He held up a green box with a yellow ribbon. No, but let's open our presents. Sewing stuff. Woody held up a needle and thread. I love to sew. Splint was just as excited. A guitar. I know how to play one of these. Who do you suppose brought these gifts to us? And why? Woody added. Splint and Woody weren't the only curious Wemmicks. Hans the baker announced to his wife, "Look, a new spoon." Violet the florist found a beautiful vase on her doorstep. Even the mayor and his wife discovered gifts. "Look, a bucket and brush," the mayor beamed. "I love to clean things. Why, when I was a little Wemmick..." "Not me," his wife said. "I don't like to clean anything. That gift must be for you." "And this one must be for you," replied the mayor, as he reached further into the box. "A book." "A storybook for little Wemmicks. What fun!" "Who gave us these gifts?" asked his wife. "I don't know," replied the mayor, looking out his second-floor window to the street below. "But I see some little Wemmicks who could use a story." The mayor and his wife looked down at a very tired Wemmick family. The mother and father were leaning against a wagon. Their 3 children, looking cold and sad, sat in the back. By the time the mayor and his wife reached the street, other Wemmicks were already with the family. Punch, Lucia, Splint and Woody had brought their gifts to the village, hoping to find the giver. But when they saw the wagon, they dropped the presents in a pile and forgot about them. "What happened?" Lucia asked the family. "Everything has gone wrong," the father explained. "Our wagon wheel broke when we crossed the bridge." When the wheel broke, the wagon tilted, and our clothes fell into the river and washed away. The rain soaked our food. We are tired and hungry and dirty. "Where are you going?" "We came from far away to see Eli," the mother answered, "but I don't think we'll make it. So tired, so hungry." Her voice trailed off and her head hung low. For a few moments, no one spoke. No one knew what to say. But Punchinello had an idea. He turned to his friends and announced, "Hey, we can help this family to see Eli." "Yeah," they agreed, and every Wemmick ran to work on the broken wheel. Splint and Woody tried to yank it off, but it wouldn't budge. "Here, let me get it," demanded Hans the baker. But when he pulled, the wheel broke into 2 pieces. "Now see what you've done," said the mayor. "Let me take over." But when he lifted the wheel, it fell apart. This isn't working, Punchinello thought. But he didn't know what to do. "We are so cold and hungry," the mother moaned. "I have clothes," Hans yelled, running towards his house. "I know how to cook," shouted the mayor's wife, which caused the mayor to look at her. "I did cook," she told him, hurrying away, "once, a long time ago." "Well, maybe I helped someone else cook, but I can try." But she didn't know how to cook. She returned with burned bread and cold soup. And Hans brought clothes, but not clothes the family could use. They were cut to fit his short and square body. "This isn't working," Punch said to himself again. But he didn't know what to do. Neither did anyone else. The family still shivered, and their tummies still growled. What's worse, the Wemmicks began to argue with each other. "Your food's not fit to eat," Splint told the mayor's wife. "And your wheel is no good for rolling," she replied. When Lucia chuckled, Splint yelled at her, "And you haven't helped at all." "Well, I don't know what to do." "None of us do," said Punchinello. "That's our problem." He flopped down on a box and plopped his chin in his hands. "Something isn't right." Everyone grew quiet. "You bet it's not right," agreed Lucia. "But what do we do?" Punch lifted his head and smiled. "I know. Let's go ask Eli." Everyone liked that idea. So together they walked up the hill to Eli's workshop. Punchinello knocked on the big wooden door. Eli opened it wearing his apron and warm smile. "Hello, friends." He sat down on the bench. "How can I help you?" They told him about the family of travellers. As they described the broken wheel, Eli nodded. "I know." When they told their maker about the lost clothing and ruined food, he nodded again. "I know." "They're coming to see you, Eli," Lucia added. "I know," he smiled. "You know?" she asked. "You knew about the wheel and the food and the clothing?" "I did." "You knew they were coming to see you?" He nodded again. Lucia looked at Punch. Punch looked at the others. They all looked at Eli and asked, "Then why didn't you help them?" "I did." The Wemmicks were puzzled. "You did? How did you help them?" "I sent you." "Us?" "You. I led them through the village so you could help them." For a moment, no one spoke. Finally, Punchinello did. "That's our problem, Eli. We want to help, but we don't know how. The wheel is still broken, and the travellers are still cold, and the food is still bad." Even the mayor's wife nodded. "Sounds to me like everyone is doing something, and no one is doing the right thing," Eli explained. "What?" Splint and Woody asked. "Try this," Eli smiled. "Each of you do the most what you do the best." The villagers pondered his words. "Do the most what you do the best," Eli repeated. "You have gifts, don't you?" For a moment, no one spoke. Then Punchinello remembered. "I do. I have a hammer." "And I have a guitar," Splint piped up. "Someone gave me a needle and thread," Woody added. One by one, the Wemmicks announced their gifts, until Lucia realised. "Did you give those to us, Eli?" The maker nodded and smiled. "Use the gifts I gave you. Don't try to use a gift you don't have. Just do the most what you do the best." Feeling much better, they returned to the village and walked straight to the pile of gifts. Punchinello took his hammer, looked at the wagon and said, "I can repair the wheel with this." Woody took his needle and thread. "Time for me to make some clothes." Hans the baker cooked with his spoon. The mayor cleaned the wagon with his brush, and Lucia decorated it with her paint. After the baker fed the family and Woody finished sewing their new clothes, the mayor's wife read stories to the children, and Splint sang them songs. Not for long, however. The family was so tired that they soon fell fast asleep. All the Wemmicks agreed to meet the next morning and take the travellers to Eli. As the sun rose, a group of happy Wemmicks led the wagon and the travellers up the hill. The birds sang and the Wemmicks smiled. When they reached Eli's house, he was glad to see them. "Looks like you made some progress." "We sure did, Eli," Punchinello smiled. "Thank you for the gifts. Know anyone else who needs some help?"
I hope you're enjoying these stories as much as I do. Have a chat together about this one. You might like to use these questions. What part of this story did you like the most and why? When you get a present, do you try and guess what's inside before you open it, or do you just rip the paper off as quickly as you can? How do you feel when you're given an unexpected gift? Eli gave each of the Wemmicks a gift that was something that they could use to help others. What has God given you that you can use to help others? I wonder, what things did you come up with that God has given you that you can use to help somebody else? Is there someone you can help this week using that special gift that God has given you? Have a chat about what you're going to do for them. It might be drawing a picture or making a card to post or deliver. It might be recording yourself singing or dancing and then sending that video to someone. Pray for each other now as you use your gifts and for the people that you're going to be helping as you do use those gifts. Have a good week. Take care, stay safe and well, and we'll be back with you again next Sunday.